Welcome to episode 3 of Dealmaker Nick, my videography or life story. And we're currently in the record business section. And in this video, we're going to look at Tony Calder's showdown with Eddie Grant's showdown with Tony Calder, meeting Jerry Moss, the M in A&M Records, and many other interesting stories that happened during this phase right up to the end of 1981. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get into the action. So in this episode, we'll start with the story of Jerry Moss. So Jerry Moss is the M in A&M Records. And we were at Milton Keynes for the concert which UB40 were on with the Police. And the Police were the probably one of the best known acts on the A&M label. And we TC was primarily talking to A&M about a deal for Graduate for the album in America, for them to get behind, basically take on UB40 for the North American market. And we were waiting there in the VAI Patriot, and then TC was looking for Jerry Moss, and then Jerry Moss came out and said, "My name is Jerry Moss," and Jerry Moss is about 9 foot tall, and he says, "I'm looking for TC," and TC's not quite 9 foot tall, and they met, and that's obviously the first time they'd physically met, and they started discussing things, and those negotiations were going on pretty well, but it was almost, unfortunately, a forerunner to the breakdown that UB40 would have with Graduate Records. I don't really know the full reasons behind it, because I wasn't involved to that. I remember TC telling me he'd been up to a meeting with their manager Simon. I can't remember his surname. It's not important. And more or less, TC turned around to him and said, "You obviously know more about the business in 6 months that I don't know in 25. I've been doing for 25 years and don't even pretend to know." And TC was always one. One of great lessons in life: you're never too old enough. You're never too old to learn new tricks. But basically, the bottom line here is that they decided they wanted their own they were on an independent distribution company, which Graduate were on, called Spartan Records. And they decided through their own label, DEP International, that they were going to go out, they were going to break their contract with Graduate. And then they were going to go out on their own. And they did this on DEP International. So after the release of their first album, signing off the second album, which would feature 1 in 10 and a few others, would go out on their own label. I can't even remember the outcomes of the court cases, but obviously that put Graduate and us in a very difficult position, where in essence, the record labels that were licensed, who had licensed their material, had said, "Okay, we signed the label, but we really signed UB40." And some were much more aggressive than others. I remember the French company actually wanted substantial. They basically froze all royalty payments to Graduate, and there had to be a settlement made. Some were less litigious than others, but some were doing it very badly, and that was something that we would have to go in and sort of tidy up. Obviously very, very sad. At that time. In between that sort of time, I always remember quite well, I actually went to Amsterdam to see the band, because I got so well on with them so well in Brussels. And it was quite funny, when we met the band, and I went with them to see the gig and everything else. They were down in Rotterdam. We stayed in Amsterdam. They still entertain me, but I remember Astro, unfortunately, who's passed away now. Lovely fella. It was like the ninth degree. You come here to spy on us. You come here to spy on us and stuff like that. I can't remember the band, remember it that well, but it's a vivid memory of mine. And that was that really. But as business was going pretty well at this time, literally, I got a call I think it was one Saturday, from TC. Said, "Oh, I'm getting married. I'm getting married to Karen. Do you want to come to the wedding?" So I went to the wedding, and very interestingly, that was so TC. He made Eddie Grant his best man, never missing a trick, right? Always to get some value out of something, right? And so we went to the registry office, and I believe David was there as well. I can't remember if Dave was there or that he met afterwards. And so Casey, he said to Karen, "You're now Karen Calder," which is Casey, so you just need a Sunshine Band. And everyone was happy. It was an important moment in his life. The only issue for TC is he had to get somebody else in to do his business card. And so he got the next page free girl to come in and do his business card, because he clearly couldn't have his wife on his business card. But that's another story for another day. What else happened around that sort of time? The other thing is, as I said, you see things that, why. So I was having TC was in Antigua, and this lady, page free girl, was staying at the Muse House where I was staying in Victoria. And anyway, cut a long story short, different views is, if I had my time again, would a different situation have materialized? I think that's the only nice way to say that, and that all comes back to that. But I was trying to do the right thing by everybody, but sometimes you look back and actually maybe you should have done the wrong thing. But that's another story for another day, and we'll leave that at that. I'll let everyone draw their own conclusions from that. But it was also a nice experience. I was able to. I mean, the great thing about this time, I was able to travel the world, go to all the football matches I wanted to go to. I also did another trip to Amsterdam to meet up with Kees Wessels, who lived next to the Hilton where I was staying, and the Hilton was next to the Ajax Stadium. But it was actually AZ Alkmaar, Liverpool were playing, and we went to the game. But and I always remember his wife cooking Chinese dinner, and I said, "Do you have a toilet?" And Kees replied, "We are Dutch, but." So another one of those lines that I'll take away from me for the rest of my life. And then in essence, just before my first cycle with TC was coming to an end, the end of 1981. Eddie Grant had just had his second hit of recent times, "Do You Feel My Love?" And there was an album, and TC had negotiated this incredible deal with RCA Records, absolutely brilliant deal, where they would actually buy the album at one price, and basically we would do the marketing and everything else and do that along with RCA. And instead of getting a royalty, we're getting a profit. We're basically manufacturing the record, the album, and everything else. And he'd put it all through his own company. And so Eddie Grant came to see TC, and I remember the meeting really, really, really well, like it was yesterday, because there were a lot of people in the nicest possible way that were taken to the cleaners by TC in one shape or form, or let's say lost money with TC. But Eddie wasn't one of those people, and Eddie understood Tony better than anybody else, I think, really did. And he came in, and Eddie sat down with TC. He said, "Look, TC, we've worked really, really, really well together, and I really appreciate what you've done with this deal. But we've always worked really, really well and always been the best on the basis that I pay you and you don't pay me. Okay, so I want you to transfer this business into Ice Records," which was his record label, like today. And we'll go back to that. And you've done a great job. So how much do you think it's worth? How much do you think it's really worth? As I remember, I mean, I can't remember if Eddie Grant wrote the check there as well. He said, "Right, that's fine. Well, you think that's fine? I'll pay you that." but it goes into Ice Records today. And I thought that was fantastic, really fantastic. And, it sort of showed that, Eddie Grant, an artist, that there's lots of serious business people that have done business with Tony and come unstuck for different reasons, but not Eddie Grant. And I think that was a really, really great story to leave you all with. And at the end of I think it was just after Meedham, after 81, I think, yeah, that TC decided to let me go. So I got fired by TC. That must have been a heart-wrenching thing for him. But I think that was very much to do with the fact that, as he said, my business life is vastly superior to my emotional life. And that's probably the true story, or one of the true stories of my life. And so a new era, a new era would begin, which I'll go to in the next episode. But I'll be ever grateful for that period from 1978 right through to 1981. I'll be forever grateful. I can't forget, before leaving you with the end of the period, I also went to Paris to watch Liverpool win the European Cup final, and I stayed in the same hotel, the Meridian Hotel, as the players, and end up having photographs taken with Kenny Dalglish. And the other story I'll leave you is Sir John Peel, one of the probably the all-time legendary Radio 1 DJ. He was from Liverpool, a great Liverpool fan. And we had to push him to go and get photos done with Kenny Dalglish and the players. And because he's a really shy person, really, and he was a Liverpool, he was a Liverpool fan through and through. And I always remember that very much. And then, the final thing I always remember is then going down with Phil Thompson. Phil Thompson would take the European Cup and take it down the Champs-Élysées you couldn't do that with the European Cup today. Absolutely brilliant times. If Phil Thompson's watching the video, I'm sure he'll remember it very, very well. There were some certain things said in the evening between players and other people that I think should remain private, but it were very, very interesting and just a fantastic time. I just really part of 1981 was a great, great year. And as I said, at the end of, it was sort of January 82, that my first relationship with TC would come to an end. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the video channel, and please hit the notification bell so you'll know when episode 4 comes out, and so forth. Bye for now, and I look forward to seeing you in episode 4.
Thanks for watching the video, and please feel free to connect with me on my personal website, nickstewart.co. Really looking forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.